So guys, we are starting with this securing funding for your startup. All right. So I'll talk about the various elements that go into funding. Okay, and most of these elements you've already worked out. Funding has two components. One is to figure out what kind of funding that you will get, that you will need, and secondly, going back to what we covered in the last session, which is about pitching. So we'll do some revision around pitching, very, very brief. And I'm going to talk about the various elements when it comes to securing funding. Okay. Today being the last session. Okay. 2nd of May. And so basically what we're going to look at is investors' perspectives on funding, various pitch formats, the pillars of making compelling investor pitches. All right. Elements of investor pitch decks, which you already seen last time. And do's and don'ts of pitching also you've seen last time. But we'll just revise that, okay? Now, with regards to the startup journey, all right, we need to find and understand problems, generate initial ideas and all that. So, classically, and this is the startup maturity model that we saw, which is to say that, that bolt of lightning which hits you, with an idea, right? So that happens, and once that happens, we say that all right, you have an idea, go ahead and get it, validate it, figure out that problem, that idea is real, that the problem that it solves is real. Like for example, I give this common example. It's a hypothetical example, but I give this example regularly. My mother makes great pizzas, so let me open a pizza shop, okay, and I will beat Pizza Hut hollow. Okay, so there are a lot of issues with this, so a lot of people start because this is the idea, my father and mother cook very well, and there's this lady in Calcutta, okay, she's, apart from the fact that she's good looking, all right, and that's the reason why every other food vlogger has landed up at her place, to be very, very honest. What she is doing is unique, but not that unique that others are not doing. But she's a little fancy, and I do appreciate the fact that what she's doing. What she's doing is that she's I think the video says she's an engineer or something, and she, along with and during the pandemic, they wanted to it was a survival instinct which drove them to go ahead and cook, the parents and the girl, okay, and the girl is a real kick-ass girl on the video and all that which you see. Right? Now the thing is that the idea struck. Very good. But then you need to go ahead and confirm that whether this idea will work or not. And for that, we need to interact with potential customers, determine their needs, wants, and challenges. Remember those 3 questions that I said. ये idea चलेगा या नहीं? इसमें पैसे बनेंगे या नहीं? और इसमें पैसे डालेगा कौन? Whether this idea will work or not, and if work, then what are the solutions and all that. Will we make money? And who is going to invest? And where are we going to get the money from? To invest. To start. To do that, whether this idea will work or not, we need to go ahead and obviously, look at the idea and try to validate the problem that it is going to solve or the job that it gets done. Okay. Also, during the same course of event, we also figure out who are the potential customers and figure out their needs and wants and stuff like that. All right. Fine tune. And finalize the idea that, okay, yeah, I started with this idea when I and Bharti were sitting in the restaurant, and over coffee we decided. We took an envelope, we turned the envelope around and started noting it down. We'll sell so many pizzas, so much amount of rent, so much amount of money going towards salary, this, some extra, yeah. All right, and if you are able to sell so many, all right, we'll make money. Wonderful. Okay, and this is what is called the back of the envelope calculation. But the whole entrepreneurial journey starts from there. All right. And then we say, all right, very good. So this seems to be making money. We don't know the details. We've not gone into the details. Okay. But why a pizza shop? And so Bharti tells me, yeah, your mom makes wonderful pizzas. Right. But people will buy our pizza, no? So he said, all right, yeah, I know, people will buy our pizza, but let's figure it out from friends, all right? So I call up Vivek and we call up Rajinder and say, yeah, we are trying to start up a pizza shop. What do you think? Oh, yeah, man, your pizzas were awesome. Auntie's pizzas were awesome. We should do that. And, these are your early adopters who will come to you. Yeah, they will come to you. So you validate it with some more people. You speak to, Vivek's, family. You speak to Rajendra's family and, their friends and all that. कैसा लगता है? करेगा तो चलेगा ना? All right. चलेगा. We discuss it with some friends. Some friends say, no, it's a stupid idea. Oh, why are you wanting to do it? Pizza Hut is doing it. No. Why do you want to do something like this? All right. Or otherwise, you can become a Toscana. Toscana is a great pizza joint in Bangalore, which does artisanal pizzas and all that. So that's on this end. And then Pizza Hut is the industrialized variety, which is on this end. And we say, no, okay, I understand that. So we will be in between somewhere. We'll have small pizzas and we'll have, carry home pizzas and stuff like that. And what is happening? We are already creating the product in our mind, right? And that is how, and going back and forth, we are going ahead and finalizing the startup idea. Okay. We look at, what is the market size, who are the competitors. And so Toscana is a competitor. And this guy is a competitor. Yeah. But then who's the competitor right in the middle? Is there some competitor? All right. So, I go and tell Bharti, there's no competitor. And Bharti is a shit, man. How is it possible if there's no competitor? You need to figure out what is the competitor for you. Who is the competitor for you? Maybe the competitor is not just the pizza shop. Maybe the competitor is the other guys who are around that place who are also serving food. They're giving options. And when it's an option, then it's competition, right? So, all right, fine. We'll figure it out. So we go ahead and, we figure out that, okay, this is what we want to do. Let's go ahead and, validate, okay, the minimum viable product. Okay. So like, for example, I did one MVP exercise, MVP validation yesterday, all right, with my hot chocolate. Okay. Got some kids around, got their parents around, and the kids, they loved it. All right. Really, really loved it. They loved it more than what I had expected, So there is a very good cake shop in Bombay called Theobroma. Okay. All the old Bandra types, They have a shop out here and their cakes are mind-blowing. Okay. Literally mind-blowing. So I said, all right, they are supposed to be very good. So let me go ahead and get hot chocolate from them. So I got hot chocolate from them and poured them into my own cups so that people, our kids and, this little number of kids who had come, they wouldn't figure it out. So I gave them, they drank it and they said, uncle, Bonvita nahi khana, Bonvita nahi pina humne. मैंने क्या पीना है मुझे कुछ और पिलाओ ना because they know that when they come here they get something special. I said, okay, let me give you something else which is with the same color, same similar smell and all of that, but tell me what does the taste like. So I have made my own blend of hot chocolate, and obviously it's very costly. It's not nowhere close to Bonvita. Okay, but Theobroma does not give Bonvita. They just give, pardon my saying so, but shitty hot chocolate. Okay. So I made and I gave it to them. And you know what the kid said? Uncle, this is so silky. It's warm. It is not that sweet. Okay, I don't feel full. I actually want to, finish this off and lick something more. Okay, this is blah, 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 blah. So there goes my MVP and the validation. I'm going to do some more validations into it. But this cost of doing this validation was not there as a part of my back of the envelope calculation. Just wanted to tell you that back of the envelope calculation just gives, you do it just to, apne dil ko satisfy karne ke liye ki boss, tumhara idea chalega, right? So that is what. But after this, what we do is we said, okay, now we know that the product is saleable. People are ready to buy. And I told these kids, parents, okay, that the first chocolate that you had, which the kids called Bonvita, that's for 160 rupees, a cup. Okay. What would you say if I say that I will sell my hot chocolate for 250 rupees? They said, Paco, it's worth it. So it's not it's a premium product. For that 160 rupees hot chocolate, the cost would be not more than 40 rupees, 30 rupees, 40 rupees, 30 rupees, not even that. My 250 rupee hot chocolate, the cost itself is about 105 rupees. Because my chocolate, all right, is par excellence. After everything, when the kids were going out, two kids came and said, "Uncle, इसमें कोई मिर्ची डाला था आपने?" तो I said, "Why?" बोलो मिर्ची नहीं लगा मुंह में, पर कहीं पे ना एक अजीब सा मिर्ची जैसा फ्लेवर आ रहा था. So what I'd done was I'd gone ahead and roasted dried red chili and boiled the milk with it for some time along with some cinnamon, roasted cinnamon. So वो cinnamon का, कई लोगों को cinnamon का flavor back, तो ये वो वाला flavor है, इसको build करने का टाइम लगता है, but that's the MVP. Okay, but once we do that, we then go ahead and start making the business model. Why I'm taking time in making you understand this is because all of this is something which will go into your funding. What did you do in your business model? You looked at your lean canvas. You had 9 blocks, and we had said that the lean canvas is tagged around the customer persona. All right, and we somewhere did the value proposition canvas and all of that we did. Okay, so we did the value proposition canvas, then we did the business model. In value proposition canvas, we looked at what are the gains that I would love to have and the pains that I really would like to get rid of, jobs to be done, and so on and so forth, so on and so forth. Then we went ahead and did the business model in which we had the lean canvas, 9 dabbas, started from customer, problem, solution, unique value proposition. Then you have your, unfair advantage. Then you have your channels. Then you have your revenue. You have your cost, and finally you have your metrics, key metrics, right? So we went ahead and we, once we did that, we created what is the GTM approach. All right. What should be our go-to market? We discussed go-to market last time. All right. Last time. And then finally, execution ready, organization is ready, which is what is an outcome of all of this. We launched the startup and we start monitoring the performance. Okay. Once we start monitoring the performance, how do we monitor the performance? We look at the various key metrics which are there, which we would have decided that these are the ones that we're going to look at. So we focus on that. Once we start working on that, once we start stabilizing, the initial start that we've had, we go ahead and start looking towards raising funds and we start scaling. Okay. Now this is important because, all right, funding will only come in today's world. No, the investors are also pretty smart. They want to go ahead and sort of figure it out. They want to go ahead and figure out that are these guys really making money? See, at one point of time, they just went ahead and put in money, invested. Not only their money, I mean, most of the fund was coming from people who had invested into their startup fund. Okay. So all of that happened. Money went down the drain. 1 out of 7 is the success rate, is what people used to say. Then it became 1:10, and so on and so forth. Okay, so you invest in 10 companies, and then one company, starts makes money. And not that it becomes a unicorn, it starts making money. So you sort of balance it out and all that. But today, the investor is very smart, which is what I have always been telling people. Why would you want to go in for pour in money after money, keep on pouring, okay, for a negative cash flow company? Now, there's also something called a trap, the investor's trap, which is that the investor who's put in the money, they know that the companies into negative cash flow, but how will they make money? They will only make money when someone else goes ahead and buys it. When someone else goes ahead and buys their stake, right? So they are ready to exit the moment they get a better valuation. Okay, so that keeps on going. That is what happened with Flipkart. That is what happened with Amazon. That is what happened with Facebook. All right. Till such time, either you start making money, or you're bought over by an organization which buys you out to buy out your capabilities or establish themselves. So, for example, in case of Flipkart, Walmart went ahead and bought it. Okay, but Amazon started making money, right? Amazon started making money. Facebook has started making money. Google has started making money. So Now that they're making money, it's fine. So you will only go ahead and do it then. But yeah, many a times what happens is that, I see a lot of young investors who say, the moment they have answered the first three questions which we started with, the idea big पाएगा या नहीं, पैसे बन पाएंगे या नहीं, पैसे कौन डालेगा. Okay, the next thing is funding कब मिलेगा, funding कब मिलेगा, right? So funding from external parties, all right, is something which you should delay as much as possible, but not delay at the cost of your scale up or growth or whatever it is, because there's always a balance that you need to maintain. But at the same time, don't be in the run or rush to go ahead and go ahead and get funding, right? So this is very important that you bear in mind. So I'll stop here for a moment. Let me see if there are any questions that you guys have, okay? Because this session is more about telling you about all of these things and literally negligible exercises that you do. So yeah, Bharti, all right, Vivek, Rajinder, any questions that you have till now? Okay, because what I've done till now is basically I've gone ahead and sort of revised whatever we've done in the last 8 weeks, right? Okay, Rajinder is typing. Let's see what he has to ask. How can we mitigate the uncertainty risk factor while bootstrapping? You can't mitigate the uncertainty or risk factor just like that, because there will be uncertainty, Bharti. There will always be risk. That's the reason why you are starting up. Otherwise, you would have gone ahead and started working for someone where you know that, okay, there's a certainty to it. You will get money every day, every month on the 30th, right? But now let me go back to your statement. You have used the word mitigate. You've not used the word negate. Mitigate means how do you reduce it, right? You will be able to reduce it when you go about it. I'm not saying that you should go about it in a step-by-step fashion. I'm not saying that, because, as an entrepreneur, that does not happen. A lot of things keep on happening in parallel. What I'm trying to say is that when it comes to, the problem, then please do go ahead and validate the problem. All right? I'll come to that, Rajinder. So what I'm trying to say is, to mitigate the uncertainty or risk factor, just don't go by gut feel. That is the risk. All right. And so, yeah, you need the gut feel. There are a lot of people who will tell you, I go by gut feel. Yeah, you go by your gut feel till such time you don't go wrong. Right. So you need to be able to go ahead and validate it. Okay, how will you validate the product? You need to validate the product, whether your product is liked by everyone or not. Just because, Paco is saying that come and have his food does not mean that it will become great. Right? You need to try it out. If you don't try it out, then how will it? Or otherwise, for example, if I have to make a recipe, all right, and so there is time that I help out my spouse in making, some stuff for her home kitchen. I am very clear. I will go through the recipe. I will make the entire product in my head first. All right. Once I make the product in my head, then I will say, okay, let me try it out. And then I will launch it. Okay. Even if I have to do it for just 2-3 of us, but I will always go ahead and do it. So there is a method to the madness. And that is the reason why customer persona defining is important. So let's start from the first. Problem statement canvas is important. Customer persona is important. All right, we talked about disruption, but let's just get this aside. But Kano model is important. Value proposition canvas is important. All the 9 boxes of your lean canvas is important. When you do all of this, all right, you will reduce the uncertainty of this factor. Okay, Bharti. Rajinder is asking, so it's better to go for funding during scale up, is it? So it is completely dependent upon what you're doing, Rajinder. There are times when you are doing a deep tech, startup, wherein someone is so excited that someone's mic is on. Can you mute your mics, guys? Yeah. So sometimes, like for example, there's a deep tech organization that my friend was running. All right. He was creating um, he was creating um, digital digital microscopes which will analyze metals from a visual perspective without doing the chemical analysis. All right, so it would be that high, that strong microscope. Mota mota, I'm just trying to give you a sort of an understanding. Now, his venture was such that before even he created a prototype, he went ahead and spoke to some people. Now you would say, yeah, Paco, you told us that MVP is when you do a prototype. After that, you take it to customers, that you get their input, whether they have liked it or not, whether they like to pay for it or not, and all of that. Now you are saying that this guy went in with an idea, all right, and tried to sell the idea, and he actually sold the idea to a couple of universities. And looking at that sale of the idea, someone went ahead and invested in it. Of course, they invested in gunny bags of cash, but invested in it. Okay. Someone tell me some other very famous person who's done the same thing, sold an idea and made his millions even before the product was anywhere close to be ready. Any idea? Someone who's collected millions before even the product was ready. Tesla. Okay, so Tesla went ahead and did that. It went ahead and took bookings, basis some pictures and some outer shell that it showed, and he talked about the capabilities it will have. He had that confidence. Of course, that confidence was backed with some amount of work, but he didn't have the product. He went ahead and collected an advance for about 500 cars. And 500 cars, and I think he collected about $10,000 per car. All right. That's quite a notable figure for not even having a product. All right. So, so you don't know when that money comes in, how it comes in. All right. So is it only during scale up? Okay. So that's a call that you will take. See, I can go ahead and give you the inputs, but at the end of the day, it's a call that you will have to take. Okay. So our Elon Musk didn't want to go ahead and get the funding from an investor. Okay, because he didn't want to dilute his stake. But he found out a way by which he got customers to not invest. Customers didn't invest. He got customers to buy in advance by paying an advance amount. So did he get funded? Yeah, he got funded by customers, paying him money. But were the customers his investors? No, not in this case. There are other cases where customers have been investors also. And I'll give you some examples. All right. But this was not the case. So how to decide upon it? It's a decision that you will take when you will confront the situation. Okay. But you need to be very clear that you should look for funding when you really need the money, or you anticipate that you will need the money. That taking funding should not be your first port of call. A lot of people will tell you otherwise. People will say, "Apna dhanda apne paise se nahi, agle ke paise se karo." Yeah, all of that is fine. Okay, but that requires a different level of skills, and we are talking. I'm sure you have it, but we are talking about normal people who may not be able to do that. Okay. Bharti's question: so how does people find? Okay, so you mean to say how do people find investors and fund houses? Fund houses don't come into the picture out here as of now. I'll tell you why. Yeah, thanks, Lander. How do you find investors? We will see that in a while. Where all you can find investors and where all can you find money? What is more important is where all can you find money? Okay, so we'll get into that in a while. Okay. So various funding stages. You've got pre-seed, already you've got seed, and you would have heard these. I mean, I'm just putting them together because you would have heard these terms earlier. Okay. So pre-seed, seed, Series A, Series B, IPO. Okay, these are various funding stages that you have. Then you've got various funding options also. Okay, so let me ask. Okay, one by one. So can you put this up on your chat box? What does bootstrapping mean? Just respond to that. What is bootstrapping? Given one right answer and we'll move forward. Self-funded. Very good. Self-funded. All right, is bootstrapping. Okay. Yeah, good. Putting my own money, absolutely fine. What do you mean by bootstrapping? Technically, Rajinder, is money, my money, and friends and family comes after that. So again, as I've said up, on the top, depending on the stage of development, industry, and funding needs and all that, right? Okay, what is crowdfunding? Angel investing is not friends and family, Bharti. Angel investing, technically speaking, there are angel investors who are there. Your friends and family might end up to be, but essentially you've got angel investors who are there who will go ahead and do and invest at a seed, pre-seed level and all of that. Okay. And crowdfunding, you're saying from public without giving share. So crowdfunding can come to you in form of grant, and crowdfunding could also come to you in form of some return that people might be wanting in some form or the other. Yeah, so may not be a share, but some return in some form or the other. All right, may also be crowdfunding. Angel investors we've just discussed. What is venture capital? What is venture capital, and when do we get venture capital? Angel investing, I said, at a seed, pre-seed level. All right. So venture capital, when do you get that? When do you go in for that? Yeah, it comes from bigger investors, but yeah, Series A will come to after that. Series A is a type of funding. We just saw that, not in the previous slide. Okay. So you are saying venture capital is for Series A. Is that what you're saying, Rajendra Vivek? All right. Okay. Yeah. All right. So good. Achha, what is the difference between incubator and accelerator? What is an incubator? We'll come to the difference later on. What is an incubator? We've discussed this once earlier, incubator and accelerator. Many short responses. Incubator, who provides office space, all right, provides some basic mentoring, all right, helps shape the product, launch it, all right, does some coaching and stuff like that. And what are accelerators? Yeah, so they help. So these are guys who already have done all of that incubation business. They will help in scaling. Okay. They will help in increasing the size to get funding, increasing the team, increasing the product variant, increasing the speed of go to market. All right. So people who come to accelerators are already launched. Okay. Achha, various funding options. So funding options when it comes to accelerators, that is there's that kind of funding which will help them move faster, scale up. What are grants? Guys, what are grants? Fund from government and some institutions. That's right. That is what goes ahead and is grant. And grant is usually there's no. I mean, you're not getting money back from the from the investee. Okay, and not just government provided. Rather, Vivek, Bharti is also mentioned. It's also from there are people who give philanthropic grants. You have a lot of companies which will give you grants. Bill Gates gives you grants, for example. Okay. Loans, we don't need to understand. Yeah, no need to repay that. That's absolutely right. Yeah. Yeah. So, but they obviously, when they want grants, they also go ahead and get you to sign that whatever impact that you have promised that you will go ahead and create, you should have gone ahead and created that impact. Usually, grants are available for innovative breakthroughs or technology companies. I mean, if me and Bharti go there to say that we are opening Mama's Pizza shop, can you give us a grant? In all likelihood, we will not get the grant. Okay, but nonetheless, just to very quickly take you through. All right, bootstrapping is personal savings, revenue. So all the answers that you gave are mentioned here. Okay, and your answers were right. Okay, loans I have not explained, but we all know loans. Loans are based on some collaterals and some non-collateralized options, such as mudra loans. Or loans are also there. Okay, so these are various funding options. Now, going back to the various funding stages, all right, just to give you an idea, okay, pre-seed, okay, is when you have an idea or if you have a POC, okay, self, friends and family, SFF as we say, grants, incubators, crowdfunding, all of these guys will go ahead and seed you at an idea level. Okay, when it comes to a pre-seed, at a pre-seed level, when it comes to seed level, usually there are angels, you've got self, friends and family, grants, incubators, accelerators, crowdfunding, and all of that. So angels usually come at seed, but there are some who are at a pre-seed level also. But pre-seed level angel investors are basically your dad, mom, if they have paid for it. In my case, it was my wife. Okay, so could be anyone. Then you have Series A. All right, sorry. Okay, so you've got Series A. All right, which is at this stage the startup has a proven business model and is looking to scale up its operations. Right. So funding options for Series A may include, like you guys said, venture capital, some larger angel investors, but there might be some corporate investors. So there may be some HNIs who might be wanting to do. Series B and beyond, at this stage, the startup has already proven its market fit and is now looking at expanding its operation in a far bigger way than Series A. Let's say enter new markets, introduce new products, or make some strategic, acquisitions. Okay, and usually Series B and IPO, of course, is the public which goes and invests. But Series B, you have private equity firms, hedge funds, institutional investors. In fact, if you ask me, hedge funds and private equity firms at least are also now in Series A. So nothing new about that. Okay. And so crowdfunding that we were talking about, there are many organizations which are there. For example, you've got, Kickstarter and Millap and Indiegogo. So Millap, for example, I've taken money from them. So they went ahead and they have both the models. Okay. One is that they go ahead and do crowdfunding for you against a certain percentage. This is how they need to earn also, right? So they will go ahead and do crowdfunding for you, and you will sort of give them a certain percentage, all right, out of the money which have been collected. The other thing which I have done with Milap is that I went ahead and we just wanted to try it out. We took a 5 lakh rupee loan, which we went ahead and returned to them on a month-on-month basis. Their terms are very, very comfortable. So these are two things that they do. All right. But where did they get the 5 lakh at the outset to pay me? They went ahead and they do some open crowdfunding campaigns. So they are there. Then you've got Milap, Milap we've just talked about. Impact Guru is there, and Keto is there. All right, and they all have specific areas that they work in. So, for example, Milap itself, they can do crowdfunding for personal causes, like you need let's say 50 lakh rupees for a very peculiar operation that you do. So they will go ahead and do that stuff for you. All right, education of poor people, they will go ahead and do. All right. At the same time, they will also raise, out of that money that they've raised, they will also go ahead and give startups like us loans, all right, which we will return to them. Impact Guru, all right. Again, healthcare stuff and all that. Cloudera is there, which which is not mentioned out. I'm just giving some more examples. Cloudera, Wishberry, all right. That's also there. Wishberry works in their specific focus is creative projects such as films, music, art, and all that. The Start 51, which is there, it basically supports startups and entrepreneurs to raise funds for their own venture. They are not focused at, they're agnostic towards whether it's for medicine or they're agnostic about the area, in which you need to generate your funds. So similarly, Fuel a Dream is there. That's also crowdfunding platform. So these platforms vary in their fees, funding model, target audiences. So it's important for project creators to research. I mean, for you guys to research and choose the platform that best fits your needs. Okay, it's a method to raising funds for a project. Okay, usually there'll be an online platform involved in this. Okay, so this is what you need to keep in mind. Campaigns are created by these guys for the monies that you want to raise. You decide upon a certain percentage, all right, and the campaign is launched. There are some specific incentives which are also put into place, exclusive merchandise which comes into play, and if the campaign meets its funding goal within the designated time frame, the project creator receives the fund and can begin work on the project, which is project creator as in you. Okay, if it does not meet the goal, the contributions are typically refunded to the backers. All right, so because let's say, for example, I need $10,000 and I have only been able to raise $2,000. Okay, and so in $2,000, nothing will happen. I will not be able to move forward, and if I put in that $2,000, I will not be able to do justice to it also. So in that case, the money is returned to the people also. The boss will keep the money back because it's not happening. Or what happens is this $2,000 goes and is kept, in a fund which is going to give money to someone who has the same objective as this campaign. So many things can be done. Patreon is there, all right. Seeders, readers. So I mean, there's a very wide field. Kindly go into it. So this is one thing which I need to talk about. The other thing that we wanted to talk about is that you've got a lot of government schemes which are there. The Startup India funds, seed fund scheme is there, wherein you have to register yourself as a startup under the Startup India scheme. There are some stuff which you need to fulfill with regards to if you want to be accepted in the scheme. There is Ministry of Science and Technology, Biotechnology Industry Research Assistance Council, all right, which is now Ministry of Science and Technology. For a very long time, it is to be known as the DST grant, which is the Department of Science and Technology. So it used to be a department earlier, now it's become a ministry. Okay. Then you've got the Aspire program. Then you've got the MSME program. Okay, IDEA program. These are various programs. The SIDBI Venture Capital is there. Okay, Stand Up India scheme is there. So one is startup, one is Stand Up India. Okay. Then you've got the Mudra Yojana, which I have talked about a couple of times. Okay. So that is there. Okay. So you can go ahead and use that. So as we just said, yeah. So these are the various funding stages which we talked about, various funding sources that we talked about. The question now is, what do investors look for? Okay. What do investors look for? Now, so the first stage is, is just about the pitch. Okay. So it needs to be a good pitch. All right. They need to like the team. They need to get the feeling that they're going ahead and funding a unique problem or a solution. So those are the things which you see, right? But the reality is that there are a whole lot of other things which also are not at the pitch level. But you need to know all of that. You need to be sure about all of that if you are supposed to go ahead and get funded. Okay, so. Is it a profitable or scalable business? What's the opportunity size? What is the unit economics? Okay. What's the team profile like? What's your GTM strategy? What's your competition? What is your funding ask? We covered all of this, right? except for funding ask. We covered all of this when we talked about pitching last time, right? Also, so that will get you the funding interest. But if you really want a funding decision, so pitch will not give you a funding decision. Pitch will get them on the table. Your interest will get built by the pitch that we created last time, right? Those slides that we created last time. But the decision will come out of what's your business roadmap, what are your financial plans, term sheets, your due diligence will happen, and what are the funds that you have in the bank, and all of this. So this series of workshops that you've gone through will not help you decipher all of this. Of course, this gets you ready mentally, all right, so that if you want, you can get into our next program, which is called Ignite, which is to do with the more rigorous things around opportunity, unit economics, team management, your G team strategy, competition, so on and so forth. Okay, but the question out here is that the decision does not come out of you giving them a fantastic pitch, or you're telling them that how profitable or scalable your business is. Funding decisions in today's date and time comes out of the ROI that you go ahead and put in place. However, what happens is that the startups, while they need to focus, right from the bottom to the up, okay, but usually I find a lot of people who spend a lot of time on the pitch, which you need to do, but that needs to be based on all that which will generate an interest, which will be based on whether you are making money or not. Remember, one of the questions, paise banenge ya nahi? ROI is that. How much money goes in and usme se paise banenge ya nahi? Will you make money? If you don't make money, or if you don't have a roadmap to make money, how will you go ahead and convince your investors that please put money in my my venture? Okay. So while you talk about all of this, okay, you need to be very, very sure that whatever pitch that you make, all right, when you come to talk about monies, all right, you need to ensure that the team, the USP, and the opportunity is very clear. USP will come out of the value proposition canvas. Your team is all about, who are the people who are working with you, who are the co-founders, all right. Are they extremely high-paid resources, or do they have a lot of variable component in their remuneration? That is a very important thing, by the way. How is the opportunity? How large is the opportunity? Global opportunity? What are you being able to do? Does not mean that you have to have a product which goes ahead and which you don't go ahead and tell people that 1.4 billion Indians are going to buy it. No one will believe it. It can never happen. So keep that in mind. So when it comes to, as I said, what do investors look for? They look for not just the pitch, but they look for, whether it's a profitable, scalable business, which comes out of your business model. By the way, this is what your business model is all about. Okay. And further details in terms of unit economics and your, team and GTM and all of that. But finally, it's your ROI, which will give you the money. Focus needs to be like that. Your team, USP, and opportunity are your deal clinchers. Keep that in mind. Okay. From their end, this is what they, what do investors look for? Is apart from all of that, these are three very important things that they look at. What should you look for in an investor? Okay. What should you look for in an investor is very important. Okay. So I'll take okay. So Chandan, you responded to Vivek's question. Right. Fine. So what do you look for in an investor? Okay. So when it comes to pitching, you talk about investors, customers, partners, employees, co-founders. Remember, funding can happen from any place. Okay. And this is one thing which I wanted to highlight by this slide. Okay. You have investors. Fine. You have investors. But do you know that there are organizations, okay, wherein customers, all right, have gone ahead and invested. Yeah. Can you give me some clue? Where customers, all right, have become investors. Any idea? Chetan is typing something. I hope he's giving me an answer. Customers, where customers have become investors. Okay. Several people are typing. Yeah, they're still customers. So Tesla is not an example. In Facebook, how come, Bharti? How come Facebook? I don't know about this incident. Did we have some customers of Facebook who became investors of Facebook? Now, don't tell me that you have an account on Facebook and you have bought some shares of Facebook. That's why you're an investor. Achha, no, you were guessing. Okay. So the Taj Mahal Hotel in Bombay, okay, the one in which we had the shootout, way back in the absolute early 1900s, okay, the hotel was going through troubled time. So it went ahead and one of the Tatas, all right, I think Jamshedji Tata someone, actually went ahead and wrote to all the customers saying that, can you help save your favorite hotel? And I think he sold shares of the Taj Mahal Hotel for 100 rupees. It was actually going through trouble, so he actually went ahead and did that, and customers went ahead and bought shares of the Taj Mahal Hotel, all right, by investing 100 rupees into the hotel at that point of time. I think it was early 19, I think between 19 and 1910 or something like that. Okay, so that is important, you know. So there could be customers who would have gone ahead and become partners, all right, who become investors. So, for example, you know, Starbucks used to use you know, a system in which they would, you know, that is the one which they would use to. That was a technology company which they used to use as a payment management company for all their Starbucks stores in the US. This was called Square. Okay, like Square. Okay. Starbucks actually went ahead and invested in Square. So Starbucks was a partner, all right, to them. Or, I mean, you can say customer, but basically, you know, when such large organizations work together towards a synergistic existence, they're partners, okay? So they went ahead and actually invested in Square, and that's how they started working. Co-founders, you're already aware of, you know, that is nothing new. Employees, all right, there are cases where employees became investors of their employing organizations, okay? For example, Google had a scheme like this. Starbucks has a scheme. Apple, Amazon, all of them have got schemes wherein, as employees, you can go ahead and invest in your organization. So it's important that you see when. So what was the topic? The topic essentially was that you know, what do you look for in an investor? So you should positively look for a certain interest level, vested interest that the investor would have in your organization's success. At the same time, you do not want the investors, you want the investors to give you that freedom to, you know, build your organization. At the same time, you want your investors to be also be able to give you that input, all right, which you may want to consider in case you want to incorporate that feedback, right? So keep these things in mind. You know, what we've talked about is various stages of funding. We've talked about various sources of funding. We've talked about that a pitch can get people on the table, but you can only get them interested if you have your unit economics and basic financials in place. But you get the funding only when you have demonstrated. We've also discussed the fact that when to get the funding is completely a decision which you will make, all right, depending upon, you know, uh, is the funding required for you to get started? Is the funding required for you to get to scale up? So, for example, I'm working on a desert bar, concept right now. Okay, and we are very clear that we will go ahead and take a debt, all right, against the mudra loan to go ahead and try that. I've been saying about that for quite some time. It'll probably fructify in about 2 months' time or so, and hopefully. And I don't know that we'll get the loan or not, but then that's a clear possibility that we are trying to work towards, right? So keep all of this in mind when it comes to funding. Okay, how do you create the pitch for funding? We discussed this last time. So you need to revisit. So I'll just very quickly take you through that. All right, we obviously know that there is something called a tagline and an idea pitch and a startup pitch and an investor pitch. Investor pitch, startup pitch is something which you saw last time. Idea pitch, we had seen it after the problem canvas exercise at that point of time. Taglines are taglines, yeah. So let me give you some examples. Okay, so from Savat, it is we enable people to build wealth from stocks. Okay, this is an Indian organization, and in fact, the founder is barely 19 years of age, and he's just got about $5 million of funding. Okay, but these are various businesses who have a very clear focus, who have a very clear focus being expressed in form of a tagline. Yeah. What are the reasons why your pitches become imperfect is something which you need to keep in mind, right? If your story is not compelling, we talked about your story being compelling. How does it connect to you? Okay, as a part of a pitch. Okay, differentiation not being there or you not being able to differentiate. Okay, for example, for the desert bar exercise, all right, we started with a certain differentiation. By speaking to various people, all right, the differentiation actually came up very strongly from the people that this is the kind of differentiation that we're looking at. Okay, there are times when you have absurd, unbelievable financial projections, and I am guilty to the fact that there have been times that I've gone ahead and done that as well. Okay, don't realize that everything is not mathematical and everything is not just pulling a bar on Excel. Market opportunity not being clear. All right, one very big thing is that when everything is fine, I've also seen some of the startups not being very clear in terms of how much money do they want and why do they want. Okay, uh, I am also guilty of the fact that I've created heavy presentations, all right, too much text, and you want to talk about it. And I have done this mistake very recently also. I keep on teaching about this, but I went ahead and did the same mistake. Of course, I've corrected it right now. But yeah, hey, be careful because these are the reasons why people will not never return your call. Yeah. So important thing is, who are you pitching to? That's very important. Try to understand whom are you pitching to, what are their natural proclivities, what do they want, what kind of startups they've worked with, which of their startups in their portfolio have been successful, because that's important to decide whether the person is going to look at you welcomingly or unwelcomingly. What's your story is important. Okay, so why did you start up? All right, just because you wanted to start up, or there was a reason, compelling reasons for that. All right, that's very important. How are you customer focused, and who's in your founding team? It does not mean that you have to have too many people, or it could be a single founder organization. But if there are two people tend to sort of give you a little more room for wiggling around. Okay, your validated business models are very important. We've talked about the lean canvas, all right, and I'm repeating it like the nth time. You've got 9 boxes. Play around with this. Ensure that you're completely thoroughly convinced about what you put up there. Okay, what's your secret sauce? Unit economics, problem, solution, team, go-to-market strategy. How will you build traction? All of this is very, very important, right? Of course, in the nine in that box, okay, in that box, it's very important. Oh, was it on? Was I on mute? I'm sorry. Okay. So what I was saying was that know your metrics, and metrics are very important. Okay, so uh, what is your run rate, what is your monthly run rate, what is your average annual run rate, what is the customer acquisition cost, what is your lifetime value of your customer, okay, daily average unit, what is there, your churn rate, how much are you how much are you churning in terms of the difference between how much you're burning and how much you're getting in, what's your cash flow or burn rate, CSAT, NPS is very important, we talked about it, keep that in mind. Your conversion rates are very important. These are metrics which you should be. I'm not saying that you not to have all the metrics, but you should be aware about which are the critical metrics important for you, and going by those metrics. uh, Pitch deck is about powerful points and not just PowerPoints. Okay, if you can have a product demo, why not go ahead and do that? All right, visual, it needs to be engaging, and follow the famous Guy Kawasaki's model on 10, 20, 30, which is 10 slides, 20 minutes, and 30 point size. That is how your pitch deck should be. We've already looked at this, the dirty the winning dozen, not the dirty dozen. Okay, and each of these, if they can become one slide each, then this actually goes ahead and helps you, convey the message in a manner that you get people interested. People will still not give you funding because of this, but you will get people interested. Okay, so that's why this pitch deck is important. What you need to do is you need to go ahead and ensure that you need to know for yourself in your heart that you are the real deal. So be confident, listen actively, and practice. There is nothing more important than practicing your pitch. All right, when you have to go about your entire business. All right, so I'll stop here for a moment because we are at the fag end of the session. Okay, so what are your thoughts? What do you want to know? What any questions that you have? Okay, because um, we've had this journey over the last 6-7 weeks, and I hope by attending this session, you are now in a better position to take a decision, all right, to move forward or not to move forward, or and it's not just about your venture, but it's also about you in case you wish to, pursue a corporate career. Yeah, that's very, very important. So this is where we are, gentlemen. Okay, there are many funding options. All right, exist based on mode, agency, stage. Fundraising is a time-consuming process with many down moments, and I think I actually didn't have the patience because as a founder, you got so many things to do. You got to manage operations, you got to manage innovation, you got to do this, you got to do that. The sharks from all, not loan sharks, but sharks from all ends. All right, you have the fear of losing your customer, you have fear of losing your consumers, you have fear of feedback, this, that, everything, and then to work on fundraising. So that's why you asked a question earlier, okay, that funding is only meant for when you want to when you want to scale up. The thing is that by the time you come to a scale up stage, no, you have people around. Okay, you have people around, and that's why it becomes easier to focus on the funding. So if you are two co-founders, all right, yeah, very soon expect us to be on the real battlefield armed with all the lessons we got from here. Yeah, so keep that in mind, keep all the learnings in mind. All right, problem, validate it, know your customer. When you know your customer, when you know the problem, you will be able to create your value proposition. Okay, and once you do that, then you go ahead and prototype and do an MVP and validation, and then you go ahead and uh, do your business model. Okay, using lean canvas. Use your GTM strategy, figure it out in terms of how do you go to the market, create your pitch deck basis those 12 boxes that we have, and that's how you move forward. Okay, don't be in a hurry to get funded unless funding is important for you to survive and to scale up. Yeah. So thank you very much for all the time that we have. Over to Chetan, Sudhanshu, and Chandan, and best wishes to all three of you.
Thank you so much, Paco. Before we formally end, so we have the last minute. What are the stuff that we have to have um, from Sudhanshu's end? Sudhanshu, over to you on the
Thanks,
uh,
Chandan.
feedback and other
Okay, so I
points.
just shared the link of the A-table form with you. This has four questions and a link of the feedback form. So I request each one of you to go through it. Let me, meanwhile, share my screen as well so that I can read all these questions for you. Uh,
Yeah, just one moment.
yeah, sure, sure, Parth,
Sure.
sure.
So Rajendra, you have a question. Okay, very good question, boss. Okay, excellent. Should I take a loan like Mudra or use my own kitty of 5 lakh, 10 lakh rupees, all right, which you have got to spare? Okay. And you said that by taking higher risk, I can invest five more. So let's say you've got a bootstrap value of about 15 lakh rupees. If you ask me, I would take the loan. You know why? Because it will keep you on the edge. We tend to get a little comfortable with our own money. All right. Uh, I may not talk about this in open, but I would like to take, a 5 lakh loan, which I have to pay off, and which will put me under that kind of a discipline. नहीं तो अपना पैसा होता ना तो ठीक है यार इस महीने नहीं अगले महीने दे दूंगा. What happens with my dad, all right, he runs a very large organization, not large, but okay, I mean, he does about 15-20 crores of business. But whenever you ask him, he says he does not have the money because he does not have the financial systems and prudence to, set aside stuff like that. But like for example, right now, Rajendra, I don't have that much amount of money because I've invested in a whole lot of places, a whole lot of places. Okay, but so I'll probably for my desert bar venture, I will probably put in about. I'll ask my spouse to put in her hidden 2 lakh rupees or something like that, which she thinks she's hidden from me. Okay, so anyway, put that 2 lakh rupees there, and take the rest from the bank. And Mudra loan is not that you go ahead and get the entire money. As I told you earlier, no, you get a term loan of a certain amount, okay, for which you have to ensure that you have invested 25% of it, okay, and the rest they will go ahead and fund it, and they will only go ahead and fund new stuff, not second-hand stuff. They will also fund the GST component, but it has to be new stuff, all right, and you'll figure that out anyway, okay. And for the running expenditure, okay, business running expenditure, they will essentially give you a current account card. So you will make the payments using that card or that account. So, for example, if you have to pay salaries, all right, you have to pay, let's say, 20,000 to Chetan and 10,000 to Paco. You will make the payment from that account against the OD facility given to Chetan and to Paco. You get the point? If you have to buy something, let's say if you have to go and buy raw material, you can buy. If you have to pay in cash, you can use the card, transfer from the bank, and if you want to give a check, but you cannot give it from any other account. Number two, all the money has to come into this account. So all the revenue has to come into this account. Okay. So itna sab kuch rahega to Rajendra, I'm sure we will have enough of discipline to ensure that the money is given back, right? And it's good. It at least helps you build financial prudence. The cost of learning will not be that high, right? I mean, how much of, I mean, the interest that they charge is, yes, they do charge interest of about 10%, 11%, and you may think it's high. You can always return it, yeah, once you feel comfortable. But it's always good to, if you ask me, it's always good to have, a cash buffer. Always. Always. अगर उसमें से उस 10 लाख में से आप सोचो 6 लाख रुपए खर्चा कर दिया, you only have 4 lakh rupees. So if there's an exigency, you got nothing to take out money from, right? So keep that in mind. Yeah. Okay. Sorry,
Also,
Sudhanshu. very
No, no,
important
also
point.
in the business loan, just one second, what you just mentioned, Paco. Rajinder, in business loan specifically, it is said that take the loan when you don't need. That means you have a surplus money, take the loan, use that as a operating expenses so that your credibility also increases with the bank.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Very good point. Very good.
Helps a lot in future when you actually need a lot of money. You have your credibility, your rating
So
goes up.
yeah, so Rajendra, just with Mudra loan, let me explain. When I spoke to the Canara Bank branch manager, she said, "Sir, आप शुरू तो करो और आपका अगर आप पेमेंट रेगुलरली देते रहते हो ना तो अगली बार मैं आपको आके और बोलूंगी." They actually come to you and tell you that you please expand and take more money
Yeah.
from us and we'll give you non-collateralized money. She can actually give more money. So what she does is they've now got another scheme in which they will fund you between 10 lakh rupees and 1 crore. Okay, when you already have an existing business, all right, and you're looking at an expansion loan, and what they will do is whatever you have in your first business in terms of your machinery and all of that, they will use that as a collateral to go ahead and do this. All right, now they may also ask you for a guarantor. So these banks are very smart now. They say that, okay, do you have a life insurance from any company, doesn't matter. All right. Why? Because then they will go ahead and assign it to the loan. That means in case something goes wrong with you, and if Paco dies and Paco gets 1 crore rupees, then the money is already assigned to that value to the bank. That means if there is a loan outstanding of 10 lakh rupees, that money will go out of that 1 crore first. So no problem with the family also. Yeah. So thanks. Sorry, Sudhanshu, back to you, boss.
So then, over to
No
you.
problem. So, guys, I have Chetan has also shared the link, and I have also shared the link with you. Just let me know in the chat box if you guys are able to access the Airtable page or not. Richa, Bharti, Vivek, Rajender, let me know. Oh, Bharti is already done. Thank you.
Oh, Richa is here. Hi, Richa. How are you? You were missing for some time.
So if you guys have any doubt related to these questions, feel free to ask. We have, we can invite you as a speaker as well. So if you want to have a one-on-one discussion with Paco or Chandan, that's all option is also open. Richa, Rajender, Vivek, let us know once you're done. Yes, yes, you are. So we will keep you posted. We might do a special session for the regular participants. The date is yet not decided, but we'll definitely keep you guys posted on it. Vivek, Rajendra, Richa, we're waiting for you to give a heads up on
Rajinder
when.
also is done.
Okay, done. Yes. So now we are waiting for Richa and Vivek to confirm. I checking the response. I still haven't. I have only received two responses.
Yes,
Yes,
Bharti.
Bharti, that will be done. You must have checked the portal. There is a like assignments needs to be uploaded. So these are going. All these links are going to be open for the next 2 weeks. So today is what 2nd of May. So you have the time of 2 more weeks to finish all these assignments, upload in the prescribed format, and you will get your certificates. Okay, Chandan, over to you. I think I have went heard back from Richa and Vivek. Got these two
Okay.
responses.
Okay, no problem. Thank you, Sudhanshu. Okay, guys. So here we are at the end of this journey. Thank you so much, each of you, and those who continued. I believe we lost Paco. Is that correct, or is he still there? Maybe I don't see him. Okay. So I'd like to thank Paco for his valuable inputs, real time stories, and relevant stories of his own venture journey, as well as other examples where he has given us a lot of uh, relevant insight that will help us if at all we are going ahead with our own venture. And even though we are not going ahead with our own venture right now, all the skills that you have just done, guys, those are really really helpful, and you can apply it in your corporate if you are joining in any corporate. I have done it in the large corporate. I have applied it with close to around 7,000 plus employees. All these uh, value proposition canvas, lean canvas, I have applied that without letting them know key this is entrepreneurial stuff that you can apply. And they were kind of eureka moment for them. So wow, this is the things that we got it right. So you can apply that as well in your future. Okay. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Chetan. Thank you, Sudhanshu. And thank you all for your participation. We are there. If you have any doubt, anyone wants to be in touch with us, we are there to help you out. And don't think that this session is over or after 2 weeks you will not be able to get in touch. We are there to support in any of your entrepreneurial journey or entrepreneurial journey that you may take up in future. Okay. Thank you so much. Good night and all the best.